was thinking about my cell phone the other day. I know they're designed to make us more efficient and smarter, but my phone makes me feel dumber sometimes. it's like, okay, so you're a lot smarter than I am, apparently. You know what all you can do and what you're supposed to do. So I'm just thinking about it, since I'm slowing down, having the learning curve going on, what are the pros and cons of today's technology?
To me, it helps me feel organized. I don't like to give my phone credit for my intelligence, but I will say it helps me be more organized. So, it's like, and I have to use less paper that way. I used to be a Post-it junkie, and now I'm like an iPhone junkie. So I just put, I have my lists on my iPhone, and, it helps me be organized.
Yeah.
I'm like you. My kids know the phones more than I do, and they're like, Mom, why don't you know this? I'm like, just show me how to do it and shut up, I mean, you could do so many things on this phone, this technology in general.
Yeah.
I was in the mall and I saw something real crazy, and instantly I got my phone and took a picture, So you can take photos, and instantly that's how a lot of the YouTube videos, people are uploading the craziest stuff on YouTube, so that's a big phenomenon.
Yeah,
and
Facebook. And I must admit, one advantage to me, I always had to go to a computer to do emails or to do, like you said, YouTube or Facebook. So I guess it's an advantage of having it in your hand, mobile, being wherever you are.
TV for the kids.
TV for the kids, yeah.
I'm guilty of that.
Right.
I'm guilty of that. You're talking to the pharmacist or whoever you need to speak with, and, little ones like, Mom, like, hey, you want to watch Chuggington? Here you go. So, it's crazy. But, it's even funny to me, even with computers, I know it's got to the point where we don't even think of computers as being the big technology anymore because we think phones. And
tablets.
But my mom got her x-rays emailed to her, and I'm like, since when do doctors email x-rays? That's crazy. So, it's a big convenience.
It is, and we're using that, since you mentioned that, we're using the technology to schedule our appointments. I had an appointment the other day. Okay, it was to get my hair done. But I had an appointment the other day, and I'm used to calling and talking to a stylist. It's like, no, you need to go online, select your time. No, that's not available. So then we started texting. It's like, no, you told me to go to the computer, so I'm going to go to the computer to schedule my appointment. I don't want to do taking all the technology to do that. But yeah, everything is technologically based now.
Even when she mentioned the doctor's office, they give you little tablets now and
swipe
it to fill out your medical, and I'm like, this is crazy.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned the appointments, because to me, do you feel secure that your appointment has been made through the computer? Because I feel like if I'm not talking to a person, I don't really know that I'm going to show up and my appointment's going to be scheduled. I don't trust it in that sense.
Well, I'm supposed to feel secure because it says your appointment has been scheduled.
I was thinking of security, though. How do you feel about security and technology? Because it asks for so much personal information, and we can give it, but it's out there.
Right.
In the big universe, they have all of our personal stuff.
I didn't even think about it. He said security. We just got a new house, and my husband was talking about how we can now have a security system that would let us see who's coming into our house on our phone. So I was like, well, that's cool.
Yeah, that is
I
pretty
like
cool.
that.
Yeah, and speaking of kids and everything going on in our home, I was reading the other day, I was on the internet, and I was watching some subjects that was trending, and it was talking about Boomerang kids. So I thought about Boomerang kids, and it's like, so when our children are at home, of course they're our children, and when they leave home, that's typically when they're adults. So when they come back, they would have to come back as an adult. So my first thought was, what does the boomerang piece have to do with the one they're just right? Like, just come back in a circle. But okay, so we're all mothers. We're at different stages in our lives and raising our children. How would you feel with your child coming back home?
Oh, depending on the circumstance and situation, mine is going to be a Frisbee kid.
Send them out, don't come back.
Right.
I can't really speak on it yet because my son's 3, and I know I'm hoping that I will prepare him well enough to where he can just go out and be grown and just do his thing, and I didn't have to go back home, and so I hope however I manage to not have to do that.
Yeah.
I hope I can instill in him the same things that I guess my parents instilled in me with the skills,
Well, I guess I'm closest to the empty nester. So I've had the boomerang. I did have one Frisbee. She hasn't come back yet. But so it's good because they're adults now. and we have some things in common. We have some interests, and they tell me, Mom, you can't look like that when you go into the world, and that works, Mom, you know, whatever. So I think there's some advantages to having them to come back home.
I think so too, but for me, you know, my son just turned 18. So all his year, well, I can't wait for you to turn 18. Now he's 18. You're not grown. So you, and now I'm asking him to come home. When are you going to come home? You know, now he's like, Mom, I'm 18. You've been telling me to this point. So part of me is kind of like, I don't want to let go. But now he's not officially grown yet because he's still going to college. But I think the availability of coming home, I wasn't able to come home. My parents made it. I don't think that I couldn't come home. I don't think I wanted to come home. But it was kind of said like, once you leave here, it's a one-way street. Keep it moving, you know.
And I read too, Sam, that's interesting that you mentioned your son, because statistically, men are more apt to return home than women. And that's not my experience because I have all girls, but that's interesting that you mentioned that about your son.
Think about that though. Like, this is me personally. I don't want to date a man that lives with his mama. Mama,
Well,
this is, you know.
You know, I can almost see how that happens because I feel like, I don't mean to be like, you know, stereotypical of women, but I feel like we kind of learn how to take care of ourselves in a way that, I mean, if it's been my experience, I don't know that men do. I don't know. Maybe they do, but
Is it because they're mama's boys and they have that opportunity?
I don't know.
Is it, well, let's go, it might take it to another subject though. Is that because there might be less male role models in the home and they're used to coming home to mama? Or, why they coming home?
You never know. But I know that one thing that impacted me with my girls coming back home, you have to not be as free as I was when, you know, you're living by yourself. You have to
And a timeline.
And the timeline, having everything in place and knowing the ins and outs. If you, I don't know if you want to call it a
Do
curfew.
you charge them rent?
You can charge rent. You can charge rent. I mean, you know.
Well, I had a sibling who, you know, went back to live with our dad for a little while.
I'm sorry, Lauren, we're out of time.
Oh, sorry.
We're going to have to wrap up now. I know this is an interesting topic.
Right.
But thank you so much for joining us on the It's Just Us show.